For some reason, Riot Games is being really, really stubborn this season. In comparison to previous seasons, they've always been like really on top of their game balance. If they make a mistake, they own up to it. If a champion gets overly buffed, overly nerfed, you would soon see that change be implemented to kind of bring that champion back down to earth, to balance that champion once again. Whether if it was a hotfix nerf, which if you guys don't know what a hotfix nerf is, it basically just means that they're going to make a change to a champion before the scheduled patch, or if they weren't going to hotfix nerf, at least every 2 weeks when they do their patches, the champion would then be adjusted to be stronger or weaker to balance them out overall. But this season, they're not doing that. Like I said, they're being stubborn. They're not owning up to their mistakes. And I wanted to make this video because I think it's really easily exploitable. So you can see all these tabs that I've kind of put together here. You can go back all the way to the beginning of the season, but we're just going to start with patch 13.3 because this is where I really started to notice the trend. The first trend that I'll be using is using Senna, but there's quite a few examples that I'll use here. So going all the way back to patch 13.3, we can scroll down here. I use D2 Plus for all my data. That's just where I feel like the most accurate data comes from. But 13.3, Senna had a 50.93% win rate with a 3.41% pick rate. So champion was in an okay spot in the meta, close to 51%, but wasn't being played a whole lot. So maybe, even though the champion was in an okay spot, they just wanted to give her a little bit of a buff because they want more people to be playing Senna for whatever reason. So then patch 13.4 comes around, pretty big patch actually, a lot of changes here. But as you see here, Senna receives some buffs. All the way back in 13.4, as I'm recording this on May 3rd, we're currently on 13.9 now. So 5 patches later, 10 weeks later, you guys get the point. There's a lot of changes here, obviously, and some of these changes were okay, some of them not so much. But Senna is one that was way overtuned. She received way too large of a buff, and they just refused to admit the fact that they're in the wrong here. So let's go ahead onto 13.4 and let's see how this impacted Senna. So she went from, again, a little bit under 51% win rate, 3.41% pick rate, and then next patch after these buffs skyrockets to 53.5% win rate with a high percent pick rate. Now, anytime you see a pick rate this high and a win rate this high, that's a large sample size. That just goes to show something is obviously wrong. And in previous seasons, Riot would admit that they made a mistake here. They would say, okay, you know what? We buffed Senna a little bit too much. Let's bring her back down to earth. Let's give her some nerfs. Maybe next patch, or if it's really, really overwhelming, let's just go ahead and implement a hot fix nerf right now. 13.5 comes around and they don't do it. There are no nerfs to Senna here, and a lot of these other top tier supports here. Annie was really strong, Rakan was really strong, Taric, Thresh. None of these champions are getting nerfed. So you would think if these champions are this strong that they would be nerfing them, but again, they're stuck in their ways. They're being stubborn. They're not willing to change anything. So 13.5 goes on, no big changes. Senna continues to dominate the meta. Pick rate goes up a little bit, win rate comes down a little bit, but still 52.73 is a really high win rate. 13.6 comes around, small patch. No changes to Senna though. And again, there's a lot of examples that I could use for this, but I'm a support main. This is one that's been catching my eye for a long time as well. I could even go further back because as you notice in a lot of these patches, Rakan 53% win rate. Back in 13.5, 54% win rate. Back in 13.3, he has a 54% win rate. And you don't even see because it's even further back, but Rakan received some buffs really early on in this season, and he's just been broken for all these patches, and he continues to be broken. Let's get back up to speed where we were though. 13.6, not a whole lot of changes. Senna continues to be broken. They're not willing to revert some of the changes that they did to make her as strong as she is. Rakan continues to be way too strong. Moving on to 13.7, what do we see? They do address the fact that Annie's really strong in the meta, 54% win rate. So maybe this is just a little too high of a win rate for them. And the other ones, I guess they're not as concerned about 53 and 53, but 54 is a deal breaker for them. So they do give a nerf to Annie here. But still, Senna, Rakan remain to be way too strong in the meta. Moving on into 13.7, Annie does receive that nerf, drops her down to 52, but Rakan and Senna continue to be two of the highest win rates, not only for support, but in the entire game. We move on into 13.8, and here's another big change here. So Rakan finally gets some nerfs. Senna remains unchanged, so she's going to continue to be a huge problem. But Rakan receives some nerfs, and rightfully so. He's been dominant in all of these patches that we've gone over so far, and I would even argue that he should have been nerfed a long time ago, before 13.8. I don't know what it is that they were doing that allowed him to be so strong in the meta for so long, but at least they're doing something, right? Wrong. We move on into 13.8, 13.7. He had a 53% win rate. They nerf him. He only goes down to 52.9, almost a 53% win rate. So these nerfs weren't enough. And what you would like to see from a game balance team is a clear-cut goal. If they want to make a champion stronger, they should try to make them stronger and make them balanced. If they want to make a champion weaker to make them balanced, they should continue to make them weaker until they are balanced. But he gets nerfed. He's still way too strong in the meta. And in 13.9, the patch that came out today, once again, no changes to Senna, no changes to Rakan. So they're refusing to admit that they were wrong with the Senna buffs. Even though she's been super strong for a long time now, they're not willing to nerf her because they don't want to admit that the fact that they were wrong. Same thing with Rakan here. They buffed him a long time ago, way too strong for too long. They finally nerf him. The nerf is enough, and there doesn't look like they're going to be nerfing him anymore. So what does this all mean? How can you use this to your advantage? Why is this important? Well, like I was saying before, in previous seasons, they were on top of things. If a champion got nerfed too much, or excuse me, if a champion got buffed too much, they would hotfix nerf it. It would typically be addressed in the next patch. It wasn't something that you could really abuse for too long. And in previous patches, in previous seasons, when this would happen, I wouldn't really put too much thought into it. Like, sure, a champion may get buffed and they're really strong, but I'm not going to invest any time into practicing the mechanics on this champion or anything like that, because they're just going to get nerfed, and why would I spend time trying to play a champion if they're not going to be meta in 2 weeks' time? But since they're being stubborn and since they're not on top of things, if you see a champion like current state Senna, let's just look at 13.8's data, 53% win rate. Today's patch just came out, and it's literally only been out for less than 24 hours, so this data isn't super accurate. But still, 8.59% pick rate and almost a 52% win rate. If you see stats like this that indicate how strong a champion is, pick up the champion, learn the champion, play the champion, abuse the champion, get your free LP, because Riot's not going to do anything about it. Same thing with Rakan. Even though he's nerfed, he's still insanely strong. There's no reason a champion, and this is coming from a Rakan enjoyer myself. I've been playing a lot of Rakan. I've been getting a lot of free LP with Rakan. I love playing Rakan. Do I want to see him nerfed? No, but for the sake of balancing the game, he should be nerfed. So when you see stats like this, a champion that has such a high pick rate, such a high win rate, a champion that has been changed recently, but is still strong, and Riot's not doing anything about it, use this knowledge to, abuse it. Get some free LP for yourself. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they have a new target goal this season. I don't know if they have new people working on game design. I don't know what the reason is, but there's a clear difference in how they're balancing the game this season compared to previous seasons. So I hope you guys found this video enjoyable. If you did, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe and comment and do all that stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you guys think about all this. What champions are you abusing? What do you think is going on at Riot? Do they just not care? Is the game dying? I don't know. Thank you guys for watching to the end of this one, though. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.